All right, today we have with us Tevan Everett. He's an 800-meter runner, 5-time All-American, USA Championships finalist, NCAA Championship runner-up, and currently ranked in the top 10 in the U.S. in the 800 meters. Tevan, thanks for joining us.
No problem. How you doing, Craig?
Doing great, man. Doing great.
Good.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot right off the bat. Do you think oxygen is the real deal?
Man, absolutely, bro. Personally, I feel like 800 meters is the hardest event in track and field. People would beg to differ, 400-meter hurdles, the 400, but I think it's the 800 meters. And so pretty much the 800 just consists of speed and stamina. And with more oxygen in my system, I think that's going to allow me to run faster, but at the same time it's going to allow me to run smarter, which in essence is going to allow you to run faster. It's not necessarily the speed that I need. I need to maintain a consistent pace, and that's what the oxygen is going to allow me to do for 800 meters. Without oxygen or enough oxygen in your system, you're pretty much just looking at a lot of lactic acid, pretty much going to control your body. And so, with that all said, I definitely feel like oxygen is the real deal.
Have you been using it a lot in your training consistently?
Yeah, I try to use it every day, and when I don't use it, you definitely can tell. Pretty much use it for my interval trainings and for my focus and recovery. It was funny, just simply the focus alone puts you in another zone. I could recall one practice where I didn't have it, and my coach had came up to me after the workout and said, you didn't look focused, and where were you today? Your mood is not where it normally is. And so she didn't know why that was, but I definitely did, and that was because I didn't take the oxygen on that day. So, that alone should tell you that it's tapping into the mental side of your fitness and of how well you're going to perform. And so I just love taking the oxygen. I can feel a complete difference every day, and I'm going to continue to keep taking it.
Do you notice, we talked earlier about how you feel like it helps control lactic acid. Do you really feel a difference? Like, do you get less muscle burn? Especially in an event like the 800, it's such a long event at such a high intensity. I can just imagine how much muscle burn you must get when you're running that kind of event.
Right, and that's pretty much all it is. It's the 800, you're learning how to, control your breathing without, the onset of lactic acid coming in there and really controlling your body. And I have a lot of, I get a lot of lactic acid just being because I used to run the 400 meters, and so I have a really strong lower and upper body, and which builds lactic acid like crazy. So whenever I'm running, the faster you run, the faster you're going to get that build up.
Right.
And with the oxygen, it's the complete opposite. The oxygen is going in there and flooding your muscles, so it's really, really delaying the onset of that lactic acid, which is delaying fatigue and allowing you to run to your maximum capabilities. And
what about recovery? You mentioned that briefly, but what has it done for recovery?
Well, pretty much, oxygen just allows you it just cleans itself after a workout. It cleans you up. After a workout, you have that sluggish feeling, the lag. It's just minimized whenever I use the oxygen after a workout. I'm able to come back the next day and get on the track without feeling that tightness and soreness. Of course you're going to have a little soreness, but at the same time, when you're taking the oxygen, it's a big difference and it's very noticeable. And so it definitely helps with recovery.
What about a lot of the other track athletes tell me that in between their intervals, they usually have a given rest period, and they're finding that when they use oxygen, they're recovering much faster in between intervals, so that by the time they start their next interval, they're feeling really fresh and ready to go.
Yeah, I would say that I've been in those similar experiences. You have an interval and then you have 4 minutes rest, and sometimes you're just not ready to get back on that line because your legs are beat up, you're still breathing hard, and that was a big thing for me. With me transferring into the 800 meters. Making that transition, it was hard for me to control my breathing because you're running at a faster pace, but you really have to pace yourself. You can't go all out like you would 100 meters. You have to pace yourself.
Right.
And I start to breathe heavy, and I'm huffing and puffing. And during that interval, though, you take a break, you take a couple of shots of the oxygen, and you feel like it's your first interval again, and that's a good feeling because your mind really does a lot of work for you. And having, like I said, that mental drive ready to get back on the line after 2 intervals is huge. And with the oxygen, it puts you in that mindset. It says, you're saying to yourself, all right, let's get back on the line like it was the first one, and let's finish out hard.
I see what you mean. Like, if you're just dying and your muscles are burning, you really don't want to do that next interval. But if you're recovered and you're feeling fresh, then you do want to do it, and you do want to push as hard as you can.
Absolutely.
So tell me what it's done for you in competition. I would imagine in the 800 meters, when you're coming down the stretch there, it's got to be tough.
Well, I mean, it definitely helps you out. I can recall my first meet that I tried the oxygen. I was actually heading to a location where there was altitude, and so I took about, I'd say, 7 to 8 shots of it before I raced. I knew that the air was thinner simply because of the altitude and the location, and that was going to play an effect on how well we would run. I had to run next to an NCAA champion, and despite the altitude, the last 50 meters, I simply felt like I had another gear, and I'd say like my oxygen gear, because no one has that capability to just switch it on and off when you're running 800 meters. Normally, you run out fast, you maintain, and then you just maintain, in the 800 meters as opposed to kicking it. And I was able to really put a kick in it. And for the last 50 meters, I was neck and neck with, like I said, the defending NCAA champion, and I just switched the gears and brought home a victory. And so I was really impressed.
Well, that's awesome, man. That's a great story there. So obviously, oxygen works great for you. Now, here's the question that I think is pretty important. Have you been able to get any of your training partners on it? And if you have, what kind of results are they getting?
Yeah, actually I have. It's pretty funny because I think the human tendency is to, when you're running or have training partners, during training you kind of treat them as your competitors, and so you want to get the edge over them. And so at first it was kind of like, you want to keep it to yourself and have them just watch, the benefits that you get, from the oxygen. But after a while, I realized, obviously they're my training partners, and you want to get everyone in your group to maximize their performance.
Right.
And so I definitely led them in the direction of the oxygen, and so now they're supplementing with it. And I get all types of feedbacks from, man, I feel better in the morning. I feel stronger. No wonder, you're beasting, your workouts in the fall. And now I'm able to see with them supplementing with the oxygen, it's kind of their mind is taking them to, another level on the track. They always push it, and it's actually making me push a little harder. So it's a win-win situation for everyone.
I gotcha. Now, what about it seems to me that because it has all these benefits that it offers you as an athlete, you have the capacity to train harder than you would without it. Do you feel that increasing that training capacity, do you feel that has a beneficial effect long-term on the benefits you get from all of your training?
Absolutely. I mean, anytime you can train harder, longer, I think that you're going to see benefits. The problem is if you're not recovering, if your body is telling you you're hurt, or you've done enough for the day, but you keep on hounding and tackling at it, that's a big difference. But, that's because you're being deprived of your oxygen. There's not a lot of oxygen left in your tank, and it's telling you, okay, we got to sit this one out, or, we have to take one, you're done, for the day or for the workout. With the oxygen, not only does it help your speed, not only does it help your focus, but more importantly, in that aspect, it helps your recovery. And so if you're going to be able to recover a day or 2 days quicker, then you can get out 2 days, 2 more workouts in the same week. That's going to allow you to run faster, get stronger, and in essence is going to help your performance.
Yeah, I agree. Recovery is so key for any elite athlete. You know, when you guys train so hard. You're training multiple times a week. If your body's not recovering, you're just going to run yourself into the ground. So I definitely see the value in the oxygen for recovery.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just like the old saying in the weight room, you know, you're not getting big in the gym, you're getting big outside the gym. It's when your muscles are recovering and building up is when you're getting bigger, and you're going to see and feel those results.
Well, Tevan, that's really awesome feedback. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. I mean, anyone who runs 800 meters or 1,500 meters, I mean, they gotta, take notice of this oxygen. I mean, it's the real deal, like you said. It definitely gives you results. And I mean, in your opinion, can you see any track athlete not benefiting from using it?
Not at all, and that's funny just because, I mean, even you say that, there's a lot of athletes who actually, they go on 2 months, training circuits where you actually relocate to try to go to a location where there's actually altitude. It's Colorado, New Mexico. These athletes go there to try to benefit, to gain an uptake in their oxygen, whereas with the oxygen, supplementation that I'm on, I'm able to get that, from the comfort of my home or on the track whenever desired. And so it really does me a service, because I don't have to, get on a plane or pack up and move just to try to gain benefits from oxygen through altitude training. So it's kind of a bonus there. And so, take that for what you will, but, all those guys that are going that route and training, altitude training, you should really consider the oxygen.
Again, Tevan, it's really exciting to have you on our team. We're expecting some great performances out of you this year. I know it's a big year for track and field, so we're really looking forward to seeing how you perform with the oxygen this year.
That's awesome, man. Stay tuned.